Hello there. We are here for issue 37, and this one should be interesting. I don't know. We'll find out. Ooh, look. We're going to talk about the Storm 4 Twin Pod Cloud Car. Ooh, that should be cool. Ooh, we got some Lobot action. Nice. We're going to visit Dantooine. So if you don't know, Dantooine is the planet that Leia says in A New Hope, where she talks about they want to know where the rebel base is, and she says Dantooine. The rebel base is on Dantooine. She's giving that up to try to save Alderaan. The important thing to note about that was that the rebel base on Dantooine was an old rebel base, so there you go. We're going to talk about boarding ramps, so those are important, particularly because we're going to be working on the boarding ramp. All right, so here we are with our next parts. Let's have a look. So we can whip these bad boys out. Let's see what we got going on here. Man, it feels like just yesterday when I pulled these parts. Probably because it was. All right, so we have our light. It's got two LED lights. Hopefully they work because that would suck if they didn't work. So the light, we have our little bracket. We got part of our rib, our two frame pieces, our four little single or two-hole connectors. That's actually what it calls it, a two-hole connector. Have four of those. We have some black screws, supposed to be 28. There's not 28 in there, but we have more than enough. And we have our 4+1 gold screws, and someplace, oh, here we go. We have these silver screws, and there's supposed to be 16 plus one spare for the silver screws. We're not going to be using the silver screws anytime soon. So let's have a look, see what we're going to be doing this time. I'll cheat and say that I already know what we're going to be doing because I took a look. So first we're going to be putting on these pieces. So the two frame pieces are rib and those screws and the four brackets to hold those all together. So we're going to get all those put together so this framework here will finally be done. And then we're going to start work on this, and we're going to add these parts from the last issue. So we're going to add these parts here, this part there, and these two parts there. So for the first time in a while, we're actually going to be attaching and doing some actual plastic modeling stuff. So that should be cool too. So that's what we're going to be doing there. Just make sure that's it. That is it. So let me turn back to here, and I'm going to prop this up on my little book stand that my mommy gave me, and we can get started. Okay, so first things first, let's bring this in, and we'll turn this around the way that it tells us to. And the first thing that it wants us to do is put the rib on. So we're going to get our rib. I just threw these gold screws over here because I'm stupid. And let's get these out. All right, there's our gold screws. And the good thing is we have extras here. So that's where we're going to put our one extra one there. There we go. And let's start doing this. Actually, let's use this one. See how they fit into this one here. So I think first what I'll do is I'll put this on. And yeah, the screw heads come from the outside. That's always important so that way you know where the threads are. Theoretically, it shouldn't matter where the threads are because The important thing is that the thread goes through and the screw holds it in place. It's not like it squeezes it down. It's just more holding it solid, and they already do kind of flex, so that's, you're not going to do much about that. Just by the way that they are, they flex. So I feel like these are not the right screws. These are not the screws that you're looking for, and they're not. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to push that right through. Don't tell me that I've got the wrong screws again. These screws are too small. How many different screws are there? There's way too many of these different... Yeah, so this is an oddball one. I wonder... This one looks like it's probably the right screw. But I think that these other screws here are different. Let's have a look. Can we not drop them? Can we see a difference between these screws? So, as you're looking at them, I feel like this one... There you go. Point at it with a magnetic screwdriver. I feel like... Good Lord. This one here is different than the other one. I feel like it's a bit fatter. Let's see if I'm right. So this is the one that I think is actually a good screw. Let's try this again. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to go look through my screws again. There's far too many of these gold type screws that are way too similar to each other. Let's have a look. Okay, threads are on that side. That's better. That feels much more the way it should be. And I bet that this screw, which is one of the other ones, will not be correct. Maybe it tightens. That's all we can ask for. Let's try this one. Yeah. All right, so we have one more that we need to find that will work. And I don't know if there are any. Maybe this one here. So if I'm looking at them, there's some that's got very fine thread, and I think those are the ones we want. And there's the others that have very coarse thread. It's the ones with the very fine thread that are actually the correct screws. These ones are all different. These are the 5 that I must have pulled out of the bag. So the sad point is, or part is, that I don't know if I've got any more of those screws. All right, so we got those put in place. The next part is we screw this down. And see, here's some more gold screws, and they're not the right type. All right. Now we can take this piece here. This is the next piece that we need. And we can attach it. Ta-da! All right. Now we need this. Let's have a look. Yeah. Need this open. All right. Let go, please. And yes. Interesting. So it actually has you put this one on from the bottom. That is different. That's not common, as it were. I may have to go back and look at the ones I did. Oh, nope, yeah, it's just this one. This issue has them on coming from the bottom. So basically all four of these are going to be placed on the bottom. So we have this one here, then we'll have one there, here, and there. And like I said, that's completely different from all the other ones. All the other ones were always put in at the top. So that's very different. All right, I'm going to go ahead and tighten those up. Okay, so we do that. All right, then it actually has us put this one on. Come on. Don't make me break out my forceps that I haven't used in a while. All right, so that one's just going to get snugged down a little bit. Sorry, I smacked my microphone. We have that one. And then this one. All right. Now we can put this piece correctly. Right there we go. Like that. So that's interesting. There we go. And tighten all these up because we're going to be flipping this over after we do that. Yes, screw the connector from step 9 to the frame. Yes, and then we flip it over and then we put this one here. there we go. So we can look at this in any which way we want. This is what it's going to look like, or that's what it's going to look like. So that's what the magazine has you look at it from both angles. So here's the one angle, and here's the other angle. So let's count our screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. So we put in a total of 10 screws. Oh, 14. So we put those 4 screws in there too. 14 screws this time. All right, there is that part. We'll set that off to the side. Now we can bring this in. Let's go ahead and turn our page. So, like I said, as you look at it from both sides, I don't know why. Note that the 3 2-hole connectors from the steps 8 through 13 are fitted on the outside of the framework. All right, we noted that. Okay, so here we are. The first thing we're going to do is put these pieces in on the side, and I'm going to test fit both of them first. So it shows putting it like this. Now, these pieces, you have a square piece on one end and a pointy piece on the other end. So it'll be important to make sure that the pointy piece goes here, because that's the way that the profile sits, right? So let's test fit that. That fits on there pretty well. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me wonder why they couldn't mold it with this on there. It does add some more profile, but I mean, considering that they put all this other stuff on there, you'd think they could have molded it with that on there. But who am I to argue, right? Well, I haven't done this in a while. Break out the old tape and glue. All right, so while I have you guys as a captive audience, let's do a poll. Very unscientific poll. Now, you guys did not respond very well to my last poll. Only a few of you did. And that poll was, how many of you are watching The Mandalorian? Now, this poll is, how many of you watched The Mandalorian the whole second season, and how many of you really enjoyed it, especially the way that it ended? So don't say anything in the comments, just for those people that haven't watched it but want to watch it. Don't ruin it for them, because not everybody has Disney Plus, or maybe they have kids or family that's prevented them from watching it yet, but they do plan on watching it. Schedules get in the way, and it's enough of a thing that you don't want to ruin it for them. Now, it's completely different if you're having a direct conversation with those people and they don't care if you ruin it for them, but there might be people looking through the comments section that don't want it ruined for them. Okay? And if you inadvertently comment about what you liked about The Mandalorian all the way through the whole season, and you ruin it for them, then that's just not nice. All right, so we have both of these on there, and somehow, maybe it's just the pressure that I was using. Felt like I glued my thumb to this thing. Here we go. This is the next part. Let's go ahead and test fit that on there just like that. It fits on smashingly. And so let's get ourselves some glue. And I'm just going to glue inside this spot here and just put enough in there so it coats the whole thing. I can tell you that when I slip this on, that fits in there pretty solid anyway. All right, so we're going to hold that down a little bit. Ooh. See, the glue came from the other side. I glued my finger down. Okay, now the last little bit that we got here is this. And we're going to go ahead and get these cut out. And we're going to try to cut these out and get the flashing as close as we possibly can. Because I want to avoid really taking any of this flashing off with the files. For the sole purpose that, according to Steve, what was his name? Steve Dimzo, when he looked at the model from Empire Strikes Back, and he did all the scans and took all the pictures and all that kind of stuff, he noted that when they built the model, they didn't take any of those things off. They didn't file all the stuff down, mostly because they didn't have the time. They didn't want to take the time to do all that extra work. They're just slapping it all together because in the movies there wasn't close-ups of the model. So now you could go with the attitude, am I making a replica of their model, or am I just building the best representation of the Millennium Falcon? Oh, but if you look at the Millennium Falcon in that regard, from how the movie model was, all those imperfections would be there. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'll tell you what. I'll clean these up a little bit this time, and I'll go through. You guys comment in there what you think. Should I clean these up and make it the absolute nicest that I can, and the nicest representation of the Millennium Falcon, uh, as if it were a real ship? Or should I leave all the imperfections on because that's the way it would have been built in the first place? You guys let me know what you guys think. In this regard, I will let you guys tell me what I should do. Because, contrary to what some people think, opinions do matter. And your guys' opinion matters to me greatly. Now, here's the thing. This thing goes two different ways. Okay, this side, let me show you. I'll hold one side one way, one side the other. So there's two different ways that they look similar. All right. So if we get it to focus there, you can see that it looks very similar. But this side here has no details. So that's got to be the side that goes down. This side's got the details. So that's how we're going to put it in there. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take some glue and smear it around inside there and hope that this actually holds. We'll do one at a time. That's held. I would say that held. All right, good. So those are held in there. This one, we'll just clean this side up just a smidge. But if I do get to where I'm not going to clean these up, the only time I will is if some of the, like I said, they call it flashing. Some of the flashing would affect how it is going to attach. So the way this one goes on, you can see this you have a big dent and a little dent. And this one here, see if we can get this to focus. Focus. All right. It helps if I can get my hand in here correctly. There we go. It's trying to focus. All right. So this side here is smaller than that side. See if I can hold it in profile. There we go. Yeah, so this side here is going to be the big dent. And this side over there is a small dent. All right. So now you know how that goes on there. And they don't say so, but just looking at the picture, it's got these little arrows that kind of point to these dents. And just brilliant deduction says so. Plus, the side with the big dent's got this big round flap, and that kind of shows it going that way. So here we go. Attach that in there. Hopefully not gluing my finger in place. All right, so that's attached. Now the cool thing is, let's see if we can hold this up. Oh, you can kind of see it because it's not in focus, so it's really difficult. Part of that's because just how close to the camera I am. There we go. So you can, if I get my hand just right, you can see how you can see a loop there. So that's kind of cool. All right, and this is going on the bottom of, this is the bottom because of the landing gear. So there we go. That is attached and all that. Everything's put on here. So that part is done. And that concludes all the work that goes into this episode or this issue. Excuse me. So we've got that going on for us. And then we'll go into the next part. But before we step away, I'm going to go ahead and do some more of the plating. So I'll go ahead and let's do these 3 pieces of plating. That should be fun. So let's go ahead and start the fast forward, and we'll come back when it's all done. All right, so we have these 3 pieces. Why can't we have just like normal shaped pieces? These things are a pain to do. Holy cow. Just that alone makes you not want to do this, but it's necessary if you want to take this step. Whether or not this step is absolutely necessary, I don't know, but it's a step I'm going to take because I feel like it's going to be important. So I'm going to go paint these, and when we come back, we'll see what they look like. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and peel some tape. If you can notice here, I kind of touched it when it was a little bit wet still. Still a bit tacky there. You can see my thumbprint, but it should be good enough for me to peel the tape off. So let's go ahead and have a look. See what kind of damage we made. And always happy to see that there's no bleeding through the holes. Because, that would suck. Looks like this one came out really, really well. Not a lot of bleed through the edges, that kind of stuff, so that's good. There's that one. And let's have a look at this one. Again, nothing through the holes. I even didn't get a lot through there, so that's good. As far as black in there, the edges all look fairly good. This corner right here is a spot that I was worried about, but you can see that there's not a lot of black through there. Just right along this very edge, and that's where I want it. And then finally this messy thing. This thing was a pain to mask and to try to paint easily. So let's have a look. Just a tad bit of bleed through there, not anything major. Get this out of the road. Edges are looking pretty good. So I only get terribly concerned if it gets up, like if it's right along the inside edge, that's fine. But if it starts getting up on the outside edge, I would be a little bit concerned, but not too bad. Little bit of bleed through there, nothing horrible. This corner, which was a pain to mask, you can see that one's kind of messy a little bit, but not horrible. And this edge is a bit on the dark side, but I'm not going to fret it because it's just going to look like the seam there. So there's 3 more pieces, and that concludes everything for issue 37. Next time we'll be doing issue 38, and I'm going to guess that means we're going to start putting together this this boarding ramp. And so that's going to require a bit of thinking as far as paint-wise. I still need to figure out how I'm going to go ahead and paint this. How much of this is going to be visible? Maybe none of it. I may end up masking this whole thing and painting this all black. Whereas the boarding ramp part here, flip this around, this boarding ramp, I'll probably have to paint the inside of it and get it like the outside masked and paint the inside like whatever color it needs to be. So we'll attack that when we get there. All right, so we will see you guys. Technically, I'll see you in the bonus issue. But as far as the build videos go, I'll see you for issue 38. Thank you, everybody, and may the force be with you always.